Verme la moustache en la camucha. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki taca, tiki. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. También verme la moustache en la camucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today is my schedule release show, and I'm going to focus on things that could happen. This is not my prediction show. My prediction show happens after the preseason and right before the beginning of the season, because there are things that I feel will happen during this time. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about the wake-up call Ron Rivera will get playing in the NFC East. So starting out, I'm looking at some of the first games. This is, I think, the third year in a row where we see the Eagles as the first game opening the season. From there, we play the Cardinals, we play the Browns, we play the Ravens, and we play the Rams. That's just our first 5 games. So these are 5 really tough games. Now, do I feel we can probably snatch a game from Cleveland or snatch a game from the Rams? Yes. But currently right now in the state the team is in, I'm not sure, because a lot of these teams have really upgraded their teams. Other than the Rams is probably the only team, but the first 4 teams, we're talking about the possibility of going 0-4 at the beginning of the season. So that's a very bad thing. Then we got this sequence of NFC East games that basically happen back to back to back. We got 3 straight games where we see the Giants, then we see Dallas, then we see the Giants again. We have a bye in between those games, but it's just the fact that we actually make that run on the NFC East kind of early in the season. So it's not actually a really good look for us to be seeing that so early on. Then we get the Detroit Lions. We got the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, Cincinnati may be a snatch game for us. Detroit last year was a snatch game for us. Maybe we can sit up there and snatch it again, but, not really certain when it comes to that. Then we got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It seems like now for some reason the Redskins are playing the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I think what the NFL has realized is that the Redskins-Cowboys games on Thanksgiving gets their highest ratings, and I think that they're going to start moving into the Redskins and the Cowboys rivalry being a Thanksgiving thing all the time. We got then we got the nightmare at the end, which is the Steelers, the 49ers, the Seahawks. We do see the Panthers, which is might be a release game for us, and then the Eagles at the end of the season. So, to be quite honest, y'all, I like I said, this is not my prediction show, so I'm going to see how training camp goes, if there are any bits of training camp that really happens, what happens in training camp, how it goes in training camp, the details of training camp, what is said in training camp, who shows up in training camp. We got to really see, because currently right now I see us maybe possibly having a 2-game increase from last year. Because there will be games that we should probably win, like maybe like a Cincinnati game, but we might come in there and mess around and lose, especially if we beat Detroit. So say we beat Detroit and then we go into Cincinnati thinking we're just going to, bum rush Cincinnati, and we end up losing, because that pretty much almost happened to us in Miami, where we sat up there and just thought that we were just going to just flat out beat them and almost lost that game. So, there are factors that come to play. Carolina, we're not really sure what that team is going to be. They lost the majority of their defense, so that's going to be a hard adjustment for them. So we might be able to win that game, but a 2-game improvement is like the most I really see. To me, this is where Ron Rivera is going to get the wake-up call he needs when it comes to coaching in the NFC East. The reason why I say that is because the NFC East, unlike all other divisions, is a very tough and strong division. Now, the reason I say that is because you got to understand this. We're the only division where all of our teams have won a Super Bowl. All of our teams have won a Super Bowl. We're the only because of that, that makes this division really, really tough. Along with that, our division is the only division that has beaten the New England Patriots in Super Bowls. Have beaten the New England Patriots, the team that has been the dynasty of dynasties, has been beaten by only NFC East teams in the Super Bowl. So you have to look at how gritty this division is. And because it's such a gritty division, the teams in our division always build based on what they seen happen in the previous season. Like, I give you an example. When it comes to the Redskins, we have three threats. Three real things that teams have to prepare for. And that's Terry McLaurin, Adrian Peterson, and our young defensive line. And every team in the NFC East has basically answered that. You know, you think about what the Eagles did. The Eagles basically signed a bunch of secondary, and they signed a whole bunch of offensive linemen. They also signed offensive linemen. They signed a lot of free agent offensive linemen. They drafted offensive linemen. And then they also find ways to attack what our weaknesses is, which is our secondary. So they drafted wide receivers along with having the tight ends that they already had, the receivers that they already had. So, and not only that, drafting a quarterback who is a dual threat. So Ron Rivera is going to get a massive understanding of what the NFC East is. This is not the experimentation division. You can't experiment in the NFC East. And this is why I've had my issues with the Antonio Gibson pick. Because you can do that. You can experiment him in the NFC South. You can do that. Because in the NFC South, they've all found ways to make it to Super Bowls. They all haven't won, but they found ways to make it to Super Bowls. But they're also a very up and down division. And when you play in an up and down division, people don't understand that when you come to the beast, which is the NFC East, there's a different type of approach you got to take when taking on the teams in the NFC East. Because again, every team has made the adjustment to nullify our threats and basically destroy our weaknesses. Because again, you're talking about our weakness is that secondary. Our weakness is that defensive line. That offensive line. So you're talking about the offensive line. Philadelphia sat up there and drafted several guys, including linebackers. So they're basically looking to apply pressure massively on us. Then you talk about our secondary. If Ronald Darby was getting eaten up by Terry McLaurin in our own division, imagine what's going to happen when he goes up against Amari Cooper and now CD Lamb down in Dallas. Or we don't even know what this Jalen Reagor dude is, but all we know is that he's fast. So we don't even know what type of threat this guy's coming with, along with Alshon Jeffrey and a couple other guys that they got down there. We didn't improve our tight end situation. There are things that we needed to do to compete against the teams that is the beast of the East. This is what our division is. Our division is that division that just doesn't play. Our division don't sympathize for losers. And we know that. We know it. How many times have we seen the Redskins actually get swept because they played around in the NFC East? Played around in the NFC East and actually went 0-6 in the NFC East. We've seen that several times. So we can't be playing around. You can't go into the NFC East with questionable tight ends. You can't do that. You can't go into the NFC East with a guy that you're talking about you're going to use as Christian McCaffrey. You can't do that, especially when he doesn't have the production to match what Christian McCaffrey did in college or what a lot of other these other players did in college. You can't do that. And right now, currently, there's no way that y'all can actually look at this team, how it's structured right now, where we have offensive line problems. Again, you're talking about Dallas alone signed Gerald McCoy and Don Terry Poe. Gerald McCoy and Don Terry Poe. Understand that, along with drafting the other little defensive lineman from Auburn, they are going to destroy what is going to be a makeshift line. You know, hopefully we can find ways to make that work, but there's no way that we're going to be able to compete in the East when the East has found ways to compete against us by nullifying our threats. Like I said, our young defensive line is a threat, is a massive threat. That's why every team in the NFC East stocked up on offensive linemen. They had to do that. The same thing applied to them drafting and signing defensive linemen. They had to stack that up because why? They know for a fact that our offensive line is questionable, especially on the left side. Don't get me wrong. I think Sadiq Charles can start year one, but he will have rookie issues. He will have rookie mistakes, and we got to understand that will happen to him. It happened to Trent when he first came to us, so understand that it will happen to him as well. Now you're talking about nullifying Terry McLaurin. Everybody basically signed and drafted safeties. Everybody signed, drafted safeties and corners in our division. We are going to have a tough time in the East, but Ron Rivera will learn this experience on being in the NFC East, coaching in the NFC East. Understand, his coaching has been in a lot of his head coaching has been in the NFC South. His playing days was in the NFC North. So you got to understand the East is a totally different place to be experimenting. You don't experiment in the East. We've seen experimentation in the East and it has all gone bad. We've seen Steve Spurrier. We've seen Chip Kelly. We've seen Bob McAdoo. We've seen the experimentations happen in the East and it go horribly wrong in the East. We've seen that. In the NFC South, they can do that. They can experiment in the NFC South, and there are times where things might work out, might not work out, will work here, won't work here. In the East, you don't get that. There is no layoff on the East. If you don't draft well in the East, if you don't sign well in the East, you will be last in the East, and every team will let you know you're going to be last in the East. That's why I said, when it comes down to it, this schedule for a 3-13 team is a very grueling schedule. Very, very grueling. I mean, just alone, you're talking about there's a possibility, and this is just me saying this, there's a possibility we don't even win a game in the NFC against the NFC West. We may not win a game against the NFC West. There's a possibility we won't win a game against the NFC East, our own division. I mean, we might squeak the Giants. We might, but that's just a might. I mean, because they made some signings and some draft picks that really improved them and really nullifies a lot of the things we do. Same thing applies to Dallas. Dallas did as much as it burns my heart and my soul to say this, Dallas did a very good job in drafting guys. They did a very good job. They also did a very good job in signing the correct guys. So I'm just being honest. This is a very difficult schedule for a 3-13 team. Understand this. Coming out the gates, I hope the 4-3 defense is extremely tough coming out the gates, but I got a feeling that it won't be. I honestly got a feeling that it won't be as tough as we need it to be coming out in the first 4 games of the season. They're going to start. It's going to happen, but I don't know if they're going to be as tough as they need to be. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm concerned. Like I said, I see maybe a 2-game improvement. Maybe. Because again, you're talking about some of the teams that I see us can possibly get a win against is, we could beat the Cardinals because the Cardinals don't have the best defense, but they signed a lot of really good guys and they drafted Isaiah Simmons. So that's a very tough one. The Cleveland Browns, again, their weapons alone, you're talking about they have Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., David Njoku, and Austin Hooper, along with Nick Chubb being their running back. All they need Baker Mayfield to do is not throw interceptions. That's all they need him not to do. They have a massive offensive. They got a lot of firepower on offense. That's a tough game. The Ravens, they drafted linebackers. They always find ways to make it. They always find ways to win. I don't know, y'all. Detroit, they might actually be making a leap this year. We beat them last year, but they may actually take a step forward next year. The Bengals, to me, at this point, currently, the Bengals might be the only game we might actually win. Carolina, we probably could beat Carolina. The 49ers, that's a very tough game. They still got the stink of losing last year. So they're going to be trying their best to do a rebound type of thing. Yeah, this is a hard one. This is a hard one. Even the Steelers, for them to have lost all their skill position guys, from Le'Veon Bell to Antonio Brown to Juju Smith-Schuster to Ben Roethlisberger, and basically come within 1 game of still making the playoffs. Man. Like I said again, this is one of these ones that hopefully this is going to be a massive learning adjustment for Ron Rivera. Understand this. He hasn't coached against these teams like this. These teams, when it comes to the NFC East, they tend to be nasty when it comes to each other, and they tend to be devastating outside their division when they are truly competing. With that being said, hopefully Ron Rivera makes the adjustment very quickly. Like I told you, to me, from our free agent signings, even to our draft, we did draft a couple guys that I really do feel are very good guys. But when it come down to it, I don't know. I don't think this year is really the year we're going to be competing. Again, like I said, currently right now, I see maybe a 2-game improvement, but this is one of the toughest schedules the Redskins have ever had, and this is going to be the toughest coaching that Ron Rivera will ever do. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.